Hello, second grade friends. Mrs. Burkett wants to share with you some details about the story that you were to listen to yesterday. Um, a prairie guard dog. It's an example of the genre that we're going to be reading this week, narrative nonfiction. So the nonfiction tells us it's not made up, it's factual. That means that it's informational text. And we had an essential question: what are the features of different animal habitats? And if you read it, I wanted you to notice some things about the habitat of a prairie dog. We're studying habitats in science, I continue to do that. But two things I want you to be thinking about while we go through this today. Two skills we're working on. One is to find the main topic and what are the key details. Okay, so I'm going to be sharing that with you today for this story. But then when we read our main feature story, Turtle, Turtle, Watch Out, I want you to try to do it on your own. The other thing I want you to be looking for are the text features. So some of the things that authors use to help we as the reader better understand what they're sharing, the information they're sharing. So I'm just going to point out a few things in case you didn't notice it today. I'm going to scoot myself over here. I am on a journey. My trip is a prairie. It is in the outdoor world called nature. Many animals live in a prairie habitat. This place has what prairie dogs need to survive. A prairie has a lot of grasses, but few trees. Without places to hide, a prairie can be dangerous for some animals. And then I run into these blue, bold words, they're much larger, that say good morning. So why did the author insert that? Now I see over here, I already have a title, and the title is kind of a text feature. But here I have kind of another, almost looks like a title in the middle of text. And what we call that is we call it a heading. And it's kind of like the idea, I'm sure you've heard the phrase, I'm going to give you a heads up. So a little advance notice. So what the author is trying to do is help us as readers kind of have a little advance notice, a little heads up about what the next section is going to be about. So authors often organize, especially if they're writing facts and informational types of text, into chunks that they start with a heading. They organize it with a little heading that gives us a heads up about what the main idea is going to be in the next section. So if we read, we're going to read probably something about what prairie dogs do in the morning. It is early in the morning. First I see a prairie dog. I name him Pete. He peeks his head out of his burrow underground. He looks around. Then Pete calls loudly to his family. Yep! He lets them know it is safe to come out. Soon, 4 prairie dogs come out. So we have some very authentic photographs here. These are not drawings, they're not cartoons, but they're photographs. That is a text feature. So we have headings, we have photographs, and then down here beside this photograph of Pete, this prairie dog that the person's writing about, and these other little prairie dogs that have come out, we have some text that's right beside the photograph. And if you don't remember, we call that caption. And it's spelled with a hard C sound that we're talking about this week, the soft C and the hard C. Caption. So prairie dogs build underground burrows to keep themselves safe from predators. So the caption are some extra words that the author includes to explain what's going on in the picture or the photograph to help us better understand the photograph. So that's one of the things that this author included, was a caption beside that photograph. We go to the next page, we still see some very authentic photographs of prairie dogs. Pete is the guard, and he is restless. He cannot rest because he is always looking around for danger. This allows the other prairie dogs to safely munch on grasses and seeds. They can also groom each other or work on their burrow. Yep, yep. Those are really big words. What kind of text feature is that? That's where the author kind of emphasizes something to make us understand the sounds and how that there's lots of it. Yep, yep. And sometimes they call that onomatopoeia, words that make the sound when you say it like the sound really is. Like zip sounds like a zipper zipping, okay? So yep, yep. And the author is really emphasizing that. So that's a unique kind of text feature where the author makes the font size really big and different and makes it stand out. And it helps we as readers to pay attention and really get the idea that these prairie dogs must make a lot of sounds, a lot of yipping and yapping. And then what do we see here? It's beside the photograph, some other words, some extra words the author provides. It's called a caption, the information that helps explain what's in the picture or the photograph. Prairie dogs can make 11 different sounds to communicate with each other. Look here. What do we have? The author's trying to give us a heads up, so we call that a heading, that the next section's not going to be about what they do in the morning, but there's a scare. So that tells me, that prepares my thinking that there must be something scary going to happen in the next section. Oh no, Pete spies a large badger. When he sees it, he gives a loud bark. Yep, yep. His family recognizes the warning. Some hide in tall grasses and some jump into the burrow. The badger runs at Pete, but the watchful guard is able to escape into the burrow. I am glad he is able to get away from danger. After a few minutes, Pete peeks his head out again, and he is back on the job. And what do we have here? A real photograph of a badger, and again, a caption that explains what a badger is. Badgers live on prairies and hunt prairie dogs, okay? So let's see if we can find some more text features that the author included. And also, let's see. Oops, went too far to go back. And also, I see that we have some more headings. So that section was all about the scare of the badger. Now we have a heading called break time. I wonder what this is going to be about, but the author's helping us think of a break time. We have break times, take 10, and mass times that we go outside here at school, if you come to school. The sun gets higher, and it is hot now. The prairie dogs slip into their deep burrow where it is cooler. Even Pete goes in. Tunnels, and notice the author made that word bold. It's not one of our vocabulary, but he wants us to notice that may be a word that we don't know. But right afterwards, he gives a definition. He says tunnels, like hallways. Well, it's kind of a simile. He's comparing it so that if the word tunnels is new to us, we can understand that tunnels are like hallways. Tunnels, like hallways, lead to different areas. There is a sleeping room. There is a room used like a bathroom. The prairie dogs cover up roots and seeds in one room. Later, they eat the buried food there. What is this? Is this a real photograph of real prairie dogs? It looks a little bit more like a drawing, which is a type of text feature that authors sometimes use. Some might even say it was a diagram. Usually drawings and diagrams also have labels on them. I don't see any labels in this diagram or drawing, but we might see labels sometime in another story we're going to read that's nonfiction informational. This is unique because it's cut away. It's kind of a slice through the ground so that we can have a peek inside the burrow of the prairie dog. When we see the different rooms that they talked about, where they sleep, where they store their food, even a bathroom spot that they have there and how they hide their food. So this is a cutaway. That's a unique text feature that authors often use, especially when they're sharing factual information so that readers can better understand what they're talking about if they're talking about something that's inside or often hidden. And then we have another heading up here. Headings are very helpful to readers, and readers need to pay attention to headings because they can help our minds kind of get a focus on what we're going to be reading. I keep watching the burrow. Finally, the sun begins to set, so second shift. Some moms and dads work third shift. They work at nighttime when we're sleeping. And day shift, that's during the day when we're at school. But second shift is that afternoon and evening hour. Sometimes moms and dads have to work evening hours, the afternoon. So what do prairie dogs do? That's making me think when it starts getting evening. I keep watching the burrow. Finally, the sun begins to set and a different prairie dog peeks its head out. I name him Gary. Pete must be off duty. Yep, Gary calls. The other prairie dogs come back out. The prairie dogs eat and play until the moon is high in the sky. Then they go to sleep in their burrows. I wonder if Pete will be back on duty. I will see in the morning. So he's letting us know come evening time, they all come out and they eat some more until the moon rises high, and then they go back into the burrow. What is this box over here, boys and girls? Sometimes authors give us information in what is called a table or a chart. They kind of organize it so that instead of reading long sentences, we can kind of just get quick facts. So it says the size, 12 to 15 inches tall, the weight, 2 to 4 pounds. That's kind of tiny when we think about what a little baby weighs. A habitat is short and medium grass, desert, prairies. The food that prairie dogs eat are roots, seeds, leaves of plants and grasses. Shelter, underground burrows with many rooms. Predators, coyotes, bobcats, badgers, foxes, and weasels. So the text box, the table or a chart, that's good information the author wants us to see in kind of a nutshell to make it quick instead of long sentences. The size of the badger is 12 to 15 inches tall usually. So we can just look at that chart or that table. So those are the text features we would see possibly in our next story, our feature story, Turtle Turtle. And then I want to show you this little organizer that we did in class today. And this is a main idea organizer. And it's one of the things that I'm going to ask you, if it'll cooperate. Let's see here. Give it a minute to focus. Here it comes. Sliding down. Get it to come up there a little bit further. Hopefully. Okay, let me zoom it back out. Here we go. Okay, so later on this week, after you read Turtle, Turtle, watch out, we're going to look at what the main topic was. So in a prairie guard dog, the main topic was the life of a prairie dog. That was what it was mainly about, the different things that they do during the day and how they operate. Some of the main details in the passage: prairie dogs take turns guarding their home. That was one of the first parts in the morning part. Another detail is prairie dogs make tunnels in the ground for a home, and we read that as well. And then prairie dogs yip and yap to warn each other of predators, and that was in the scare part. And we could have included another detail about what they do in the evening after the sun starts setting until the moon comes up, and that's to come back out and eat, don't they? Before they go into their burrow to sleep. So the main topic is what is it mostly about, and then what are some of the main or key details that we read in the story. So be prepared to practice that when you listen to Turtle Turtle Watch Out in the video today. Okay? We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.